Since the inaugural Formula One championship in 1950, there have been 33 different champions. Names such as Juan Manuel Fangio, Jackie Stewart, Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher adorn the trophy. But for those 33 that have reached the top, there are countless others that have missed out, some through agonising circumstances and some through pure gentleman's agreement. For the 33 different champions, there are 44 different runner-ups. Many have put up a close fight with the champion, and just as many have gone on to become champion themselves in other years. But what of those that have never reached the summit? My name is Andy, and here is the top 5 Formula One drivers, runners-up, never to become champion. Number 5, Ronnie Peterson. Super Swede was something of a rare thing in the paddock even back in the 1970s. A driver without enemies. The likeable Swede was born in 1944 and quickly inherited his dad's love of racing from an early age. Making his way through the junior formulas, it didn't take his talents long to be noticed, and he would make his F1 debut in 1970 in a customer March before gaining a work seat the following season. But most people will remember Peterson for his days at Lotus, and the sight of the black and gold GPS car with Peterson at the wheel doing a four-wheel drift while still moving forward at breakneck speed was a trait that he had truly mastered. He would take runners-up honours twice in his career, once in his full debut season in 1971 to Jackie Stewart, the second time in 1978 coming second to teammate Mario Andretti. The second one, however, would be his last, as the Swede lost his life due to an accident and complications afterwards at the Italian Grand Prix that year. He was due to join McLaren for the 1979 season, and therein lies just one of F1's many what-if storylines. Number 4, Felipe Massa. The likeable Brazilian that has to have one of the most agonising moments in the history of Formula One. He'd be runner-up in the championship just once in 2008 while driving for Ferrari, but for just a brief minute in front of his home crowd in Brazil, he was the champion. It was to be snatched away from him when Lewis Hamilton passed Timo Glock on the final corner of the final lap to get the extra points required to take it away from Massa. Debuting in 2002 with Sauber, he went off to test drive for Ferrari in 2003, returning back to Sauber for 2004 and 2005 before getting his chance in the race seat at Ferrari, replacing Rubens Barrichello alongside Michael Schumacher. His passion and determination could never be doubted, and his 11 wins, all for the Scuderia, put him in the list and a very popular choice as well. His accident in 2009 at Hungary again leaves another one of those what-if moments in the sport, but no one will ever forget that rainy day at Interlagos in 2008. Number 3, Gilles Villeneuve. In amongst the nostalgia and the romance that surrounds the Canadian, many forget that he was actually a championship runner-up in 1979. Many remember seeing the bright orange helmet and the Scuderia red Ferrari, arms on full lock or sometimes even on free wheels as he did at Zandvoort in 1979. A man who drove in the limit at all times of anything he drove, Villeneuve first raced in F1 for McLaren in 1977 at the British Grand Prix before being snapped up by Ferrari for the 1978 season. His haul of 6 wins does not bestow upon the talent of a man that he had behind the wheel, and much more towards the talent of the grid and the occasional flamboyance getting in the way of a good result. He was runner-up in 79 to his teammate Jody Scheckter, missing out by just 4 points to the South African. From driving on freewheels, banging and bumping with René Arnoux at the French Grand Prix that year, or going 11 seconds faster in a wet practice for the USGP that same year that to this day some drivers cannot explain, it is no wonder that he is still regarded by many as one of the greatest to never win the title. Number 2, Jackie X. The Belgium is highly regarded by many, and highly regarded as well as being a rainmaster during his racing years, as well as being an extremely tough competitor. Making his debut in F1 in an F1 race at the German GP in 1966 while driving an F2 car, it wasn't long before he was snapped up by Ferrari for the 1968 season after impressing again at the German Grand Prix in 1967 at the Nürburgring and again in a Formula 2 car against F1 machinery. He would drive for many teams throughout his F1 career, but it was with Brabham in 1969 and Ferrari in 1970 that he would record his 2 runners-up championship finishes. Ickx would race on in F1 in some capacity through to 1979, with his final win coming in the 1972 German Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, a track he seemed to excel at. The Belgian is also a legendary figure at Le Mans as a 6-time winner and also a winner of the Dakar Rally, the Bathurst 1000 and many other races around the world, showing his class and adaptability to drive any car. And number 1, Sir Stirling Moss. Could it be anyone else at number 1 really other than the man who finished runner-up 4 times on the trot from 1955 to 1958? Moss was a master of his craft, capable of taking any car and driving it quickly, but also being able to drive it subtly as well, which was something of a craft back in those days where races could last up to 3 to 4 hours, even in F1 trim. Moss, like many others, was able to adapt to any machine he was given as well, and also won many other events and championships, including the Mille Miglia, the Targa Florio, and also competed in the likes of the BTCC, Le Mans, and much more beside, before a crash at Goodwood in 1962 seen him retire from racing. Moss could easily have been champion in 1958 when a steward's decision could have seen Mike Hawthorn given a penalty and disqualification that would have, from that year's Portuguese Grand Prix. This result would have seen Moss promoted at the end of the season in the championship. However, it was Moss himself who defended Hawthorn, and the result stood with Moss being the winner and Hawthorn taking second. This result meant that come the end of the season, the Ferrari driver beat Moss to the title by just 1 point. But no matter the situation, you cannot deny that Sir Stirling Moss will surely is the greatest driver to never win a Formula 1 World Championship. And that's my list. Did I miss any out? Do you agree with the list? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe as well. My name's Andy, and until next time, I'll see you again soon. Ta-ra.